essentially, I was trying to catch up back on some anime that I was trying to, see what was good, the sauce of. Mainly Machina-san is a sex robot, and, the Yandere Dark Elf, which I have not caught up fully on that one. I'm like just finishing up episode 2. So I kind of want to just yap about these two shows, because I know I already talked about the problems with these two shows, and I will probably talk about it again. But I do want to talk about, at least the night and day difference between the two, and what is like what I'm looking for, I guess, right? But before I do talk about that, the good news is I was able to fix Kokatsu last night, which is absolutely great. The bad news is it still eats up the shit out of my storage. Once again, I still need a shit ton of storage, because there ain't no damn way this shit's gonna work out the way I need it to, because it's kinda effing ass. So again, if you can help out with the whole, new laptop situation, contribute to that, please do. And again, like I said before, if we actually get this in a timely manner, I will do a wrestling video. And if we actually get this pretty properly good and set up like a nice Korean asshole from a fine ass Asian woman, then when it comes down to it, you'll get 10 wrestling episodes of random things I just want to bring up. Why the hell not? So there is that. Link is in the description, the comment section, and the community post. Now, with all that being said, I'm gonna just sit here and compare these two, mainly because I don't really know how else to talk about this, but it just goes to show me again that these two shows are peak, but there is a world of difference, right? So let's just start out with the one that annoys me the most. Machina-san is a sex robot. Let's just keep it very much a say. Machina herself, perfectly fine in my personal opinion, right? I think she's a fine character in multiple different ways. I think she actually has the jiggle sauce of all of the sauces right now. And if I'm gonna be honest, I kind of like her a little bit more than Belle from Yandere Dark Elf. Right? I'm just gonna be real. I kind of like her a little bit more, mainly because she's out here for the boys, showing them things out a lot more. And just to keep it very much a sec, someone that isn't necessarily like trying to murder you for 5,000 seconds. Don't get me wrong, I love my yanderes, but it's nice to also not be murdered by that yandere because I'm trying to get some ass for somebody else. That's not how that works in my world, not at all. So when it comes down to it, it just, it's a lot more to see here. It's a lot more enjoyable in certain moments, right? And I do think the characters outside of the main character themselves is very much fun in a weird way, right? Because the last episode was literally, I believe, this one chick trying to figure out what the hell's going on with Machina-san and this weird ass, creepy ass, weak ass, wussy boy of a main character, and she literally went out her way to use, or at least get a damn taser and about to tase him in the ass. And I'm like, okay, not what I was expecting, but that's fine, because Heike kind of want to see him get tased, and just honestly I think he deserves it for being a wuss. I'm not gonna lie, but still it feels like it's going to be a little fun. Also introducing that blue hair girl, so I'm kind of curious on how she's going to be, because dear gosh, if I have to just watch a whole another episode of the main male character in Machina-san, I think I'm gonna lose brain cells even harder than I ever had before, right? So there is very much that. And to keep it very much a stat, again, Machina-san herself is just perfectly fine. I don't see how anybody in any way, shape, and form would sit here and not want to clap her cheeks immediately. Yes, she might not know how sex actually works. That being said, that's not going to stop me from absolutely just pounding the shit out of them robot cheeks. It ultimately is what it is. But as I said before, the fat issue I have with Machina-san is literally the main character. He is literally so weak and pathetic, it's not even funny. He has those desires. The crazy thing is, he has the desires to want to, let some nut out and let it be free, but at the end of the day, he just decides not to because of X reason of just wanting to be a virgin, have his virgin status. Man, act like if he loses his virginity, he loses his ultimate license, his black membership card to get all the shit that he needs in life, right? That's not how that works, essentially. That's not how that is. why the hell not? Just let things happen and see where things go, right? It is crazier too, because one, you have Makina-san, who's obviously fine, and then you got the sexy ass landlord lady? Are you stupid? Literally, if again, in this situation, I'm winning. This is just gonna be this ain't gonna be an anime no more. This is gonna straight up turn into a Genzai for sure, right? It is just GG's. And the crazy thing is, you talk about so your version stats, you wanna linger in that? You wanna live with that and not crack Machina and the landlady and the other chick that wants yaoi crap all the time? It's crazy. It's wild. It's weird. It doesn't make sense. And again, I feel like this story would be so much better if literally the guy was like, oh, I'll teach Makina-san about smashing, and she just gets it wrong the entire time, or just be weird about it in some shape or form, and all that sort of stuff. That would feel like a way better story to tell than just two people not knowing, one person not knowing how the hell sex works and the other person not wanting to do it at all, even though the obvious sign is just do the damn thing. Again, very much a irritating ass show. Beautiful jiggle physics, possibly some of the best I've seen in a minute, but that being said, irritating as hell. It is completely irritating because of the main male character. He sucks ass, and if it wasn't there, this show would be perfectly peak. It just would be. Now, let's transfer all this ecchi energy to something like Yandere Dark Elf, which, honestly, a ton more better. I know you could sit here and say the show is 12 minutes long, and honestly, it kind of sucks that it's so damn short, and it does indeed suck. That being said, I would rather see a show use their 12 minutes in a proper and better way to explore characters in a short amount of time versus whatever the hell Makina-san does with their characters and then just not really explore them in any shape and form outside of, I don't want to have sex, that's for weirdos, and all that type of stuff. Because yeah, that's totally the smart time and type of thing to have, right? It doesn't make a lot of sense, right? Because you can easily sit here and see, yeah, maybe the male main character doesn't want to crack cheeks, right? He doesn't want to, but at the same time, he's not gonna sit here and just be an absolute whiner and wuss about it, though. You know, that's just how it is. Plus, it's progressed very nicely, where it's not just lingering on the male main character and the female character and just kind of have it just by themselves the entire time. They already introduced a whole nother character that, you know, is going to be a part of the show, and that's fine. That's perfectly good, and it gives the other characters something extra to kind of do and to deal with, to interact with the world and all this other stuff. And it's great. Honestly, episode 2 is very fantastic. I'm not gonna sit here and lie. From Belle wanting to murder the shit out of Hinata because of just the closeness he was having with Sakura, which, I ain't gonna lie, considering Sakura's ass cheeks, that's kind of a win-win situation right there. That's, if she wasn't Yandere, that would be a win-win situation, but we know Belle is, so you might not want that. But still, that's a fire situation to be in right there. Like, are you really losing? Are you really losing? With them ass cheeks that Sakura had, are you really losing? Getting pressed down by them? Like, give me that immediately. Please do. Right? And then at the very same time, you got Belle looking mad fine as well too. You know, dark skin, jiggly as shit. How could you go wrong with that? How could you possibly go wrong with that? But besides the jiggles and everything that works right in that show, I'm not gonna sit here and lie. I think the best thing about this show that works hard in its favor is the fact that it also keeps the lore going. You know, like, obviously we know Belle and Hinata kind of have this whole thing, adventure in a whole different world from where, you know, it's obviously different where Hinata's from and all that type of stuff. The best thing about that is that obviously you're getting little bits of lore about Belle and how Els is treated in that world and how they kind of be, you know, looked down upon. Is it the most in-depth lore you ever seen? No, but at the very same time, it at least gives you a reason to care. It gives you something extra to hold on to versus, you know, Makina-san, where that's not necessarily the case. Yes, there is an overlacking or at least over it is kind of lacking, but overbearing story with like where Machina kind of came from, and you know, the whole robot thing, but it's not really pushed into our face to kind of worry about. And that's kind of the issue I have with that show, where this show actually is like, oh yeah, elves get treated like shit, but Sakura actually likes this girl, and she's actually curious about her whole magic stuff and the other world stuff and all that type of thing, and it kind of helps out a lot too, right? Again, you can build an ecchi show with endless amounts of tits in your face, and it's an amazing time with jiggles and everything, but that doesn't make me care for the character. You could have all that, but if you're not adding in-depth lore, or you're not adding something extra to that character in a narrative sort of way that makes me give a shit, I don't really care, right? That's just how it is. That's essentially why I stopped watching V-Head Neko, and I ended up just not doing that series on this channel anymore. Mainly because it was just, you know, boobs in your face, cool, but there wasn't anything that was really attaching me to continue to watch that. That's how it is, you know? So again, endless boobs is great, but is there a point to it? Is there a reason for it, you know? Again, I can have boobs at a show, but I would rather have it to be a reason for it to be happening, or it be there because of the context of the overall story, you know? And that's just also how it is. Or now, granted, I don't know where Yandere Dark Elf is going to go with it, but at the very same time, at least I would trust that with my attention more, with 12 minutes a day or whatever, an episode or whatever, than what Machina-san is doing, because it's just not nearly as good. It's not nearly as interesting. But my point is, though, in terms of who's like the sexier character, in my personal opinion, I will pretty much give that to Machina-san. I will give that. I think the show, at least on that standpoint, does a decent job of just showing you, yeah, you want to bang Machina-san. I very much get that. But who has the better show overall? It's Yandere Dark Elf. I don't think there's any question as to why. I don't think there should be any, because it's pretty obvious from the get-go who's better here and who just has the stylization of just, yes, we have tits, but also we care. And that's just kind of how I feel. It doesn't feel like it's wasting my time, where Machina-san does, right? And again, I love the show, don't get me wrong, I love Machina-san to a T, but that being said, because of the whiny bitch-made male character, I don't care that much, right? Versus something like Yandere Dark Elf, where, you know, Hinata's kind of just there, but it's not necessarily in the worst possible way, you know? He can handle himself, and not necessarily is, again, super for it, but isn't screeching and whining and being really retarded when it comes down to it, if I'm gonna be honest. So that's my whole, I guess, aspect of looking into these shows. And again, I hope we get more ecchi shows that don't feel like it's a waste of time, like Yandere Dark Elf. If you're gonna give me a 12-minute show, at least give me something of that quality, where it's not necessarily something mindless and stupid as Machina-san is, because I feel like it's a damn shame, and it's a waste to give a character that looked like Machina-san all this jiggle and all the tits in the world, only for her to be not utilized in whatever way the show should actually utilize that character. Not gonna lie, it's a kinda annoying. But that's really all I got to say for this one. So hopefully you did enjoy. If you did, be sure to like, share, subscribe, hit the bell notification on my way out. Also follow my socials. And if you'd like to donate to the channel, Kofi Cash App is available as well. And until then, it's me, Boy J, signing off. Have a blessed day.